Hello everyone, welcome to my new YouTube channel. For this video, thought I'd start the channel off on something easy. With the time coming up, I'm going to recommend some nice horror manga from my collection back here. As you can see, I have a lot of manga. I'm very into manga, so I've read my fair share of horror manga, and hopefully these recommendations can do you good in the future. I do a lot of different types of genres. We're going to have normal horror, Lovecraftian, stuff like that. Anything that seems easy to get into for this upcoming Halloween season. The way I'm going to kind of structure it is I'll bring a manga up, I'll kind of talk about what initially got me into why I bought it, and then I'll review the story up until the point where the main draw is, and then you can go and pick it up if you want, if it intrigued you. So without further ado, this is Monkey Peak, written by Shinosaka Keiji and Kumita Akihiro. I actually happened to pick this up from a second-hand store not too long ago. It was just like at the mall, and honestly, what really caught my eye was the beautiful art on here. I don't know if you can see that. It's I'll have a picture up in the video anyway. It's this really nice, crudely drawn kind of silhouette of the main monster, and it just really catches your eye and pulls you in. You know, not to mention the beautiful original Japanese cover. The Nihongo on here is quite nice, looks quite aesthetic. In here is kind of average, nothing too big about it, nothing too super interesting, but let's start with the story. Monkey Peak starts with a flashback from our main character, Saotome. He's lying on the ground with a guy over top of him, shielding him from an oncoming avalanche. As the snow rushes closer, the guy protecting Saotome tells him to always strive to make people happy, and to never stop smiling. Then the snow catches up to them, and seemingly crushes the guy to death on top of him. Back to modern day, 8 years later, we catch up with Ryo, as he and a bunch of other people are hiking through the mountains on a company retreat. This is one of the multiple hiking groups that are meeting at the rendezvous for the trip to actually start. The team consists of Okijima, a bigger guy who is very athletic and seems to be holding them back, Tono, the logistical character, who has a phone and a map downloaded on it, Minami, the rude jock type character that's always getting on everyone, Sato, the leader, and the chief, who starts to talk about the mountain they are on. The mountain is called Iwakudakai. It has a myth about a mysterious rogue monkey that was killed by samurai. Eventually, they end up meeting up with everyone else at the top, where we get some of our explanation. Apparently, the company had been going through some rough management problems. To do this, he ends up taking everyone's cell phones before they retire for the night. Later, Saotome is unable to sleep, being woken up by something moving outside. Then after leaving the tent to see what was going on, he comes face to face with a ginormous monkey beast man, who looks at him and silently walks away. Afterwards, he hears screams coming from the camp, and when he arrives, he finds an entire team's mangled, bloody corpses lying out in the open, and even worse, the team had all the cell phones. As everyone is freaking out, not knowing what to do, they slowly come to the realization that they have to keep going. But now, they know something is out there trying to hunt them. And that's the end of the first chapter of this book. Honestly, it's a very interesting read, and definitely worth looking into if you want something nice and easy to start for Halloween. I only have the first volume right now. I never really got into the other ones. I thought that there might be an anime online, maybe an OVA, I don't really know what. You know, it's easy read, it's not going to be anything revolutionary, it's not like a Junji Ito manga or something, but as it stands now, easy thing to get into for Halloween, nice and spooky for the October season. So going off what I read, I'd give it an easy 4 out of 10. Like I said, nothing super special, but it definitely has that like campfire vibe to the story. Next book we're going to be looking at is Manhole, written by Tetsuya Tsutsui. This manga is actually one of the series I'm most excited about continuing to buy. Currently I only have 2 in my collection, however the story and the mystery of it is so like interesting and fun to read that I like have to get the rest of this series. Once again, the cover on this one is absolutely awesome. The art is nice and scary, immediately pulls you into buying it, and it has this nice matte finish to it. Yeah, all in all, nice quality manga, paper's nice quality, and the art's, while being kind of average, also has its own little flair to it. This one starts in the heart of the bustling city, Sarahasa, Everyone is going about their day as normal. That is, until a completely naked man, covered in blood, starts walking through the middle of the street. This man seems to have no life behind his eyes and is completely unaware of his current situation. As people start to notice him, he mumbles "mama" as if he's searching for something. A kid with earbuds, completely unaware of the motion going on around him, ends up face to face with the naked man. Suddenly, the naked man grabs him, pukes blood straight into the kid's face, and then falls down dead on the road. Mind you, this is like 5 pages into the manga. I'm not spoiling anything here. This happens immediately. Next, we are introduced to the main characters and the main players in this story. The commissioner of the police force, Mizoguchi Ken, and his assistant, Inoue Nao. They arrive at the sectioned off police investigation into this event. Here we get an introduction to their characters, propping up Ken as a grizzled police commissioner, and Nao as a less experienced, almost bright-eyed assistant. They come to the conclusion that the guy came up from an open manhole. Now cutting back to the kid with the earbuds, he was able to escape, and went over to his girlfriend's place to wash off all the blood. The police call, and he tries to avoid the police by, let's just say, fooling around with his girlfriend. We see her lick a pimple that had popped up on his face, as it zooms out to show a pet fish swimming around a tank. The next scene is at the coroner's office, where inside the eye socket of the dead man, they end up finding a large tapeworm. Cutting back to the kid, he decides to head out for the police station as our main characters go do some digging into the personal life of the dead man. As he leaves, it shows the fish in the tank is now dead. When he gets to the police station, they start to question him, and it looks as though his pimple is starting to move up into his eye. He suddenly stands up and starts acting erratic. He makes it outside, when suddenly, he's hit by a car. When they run outside, they find a tapeworm coming out of the kid's eye, meaning that whatever is happening is caused by this tapeworm, and they have to keep it contained, as it cuts back to the girlfriend, and her vision is starting to get blurry. But yeah, that's kind of the basic outline for this manga. It like grips you in immediately with the whole naked man thing, and just how weird it feels, because you don't really know what's going on. But honestly, out of what I've read so far, it really delivers with the story. The mystery is intriguing, the story's good, the character development's good. The only real problem I have with it is that sometimes it can get a little wordy in like the explanations and stuff. But other than that, really nice. Kind of has almost that Bloody Monday or Death Note kind of like police vibe to it, you know. Definitely recommend picking up this one for Halloween. Personally, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. This one's a more popular series, a lot of people know about this one, but in case you haven't, we're going over Blood on the Tracks. Blood on the Tracks was written by Oshimi Shuzo. It's a very slow-building psychological horror story about this mother and her young son. The first thing I wanted to point out in this series is the artwork. The artwork is so beautiful in its simplicity and complexity, and specifically the shadows and framing of the scenes itself. I don't know if you can see this panel right here. If not, I'll have it up on the screen later. The shading is all single line cross-hatching, which already gives it this like very unique feel to the story. However, whenever the author gets into the more like super intense moments, it makes this cross-hatching feel so much more sinister. Honestly, a lot of this book, starting out, as you'll see later, is very slow running, very slow going, but it's just kind of the atmosphere that's around the characters' interactions with each other, the eeriness that kind of happens before it gets to the big punch of the situation. And before we get into this one, I just want to say we will be getting into spoiler territory here. Nothing too big, it's just the big thing that happens after the first volume. It's just kind of what sets up the story. So if you are interested and don't care about the spoilers, keep watching, although I highly suggest going into it blind. However, if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and skip ahead to the last manga recommendation. The book opens up from the perspective of our main character, Seiichi, as a kid walking with his mom, when all of a sudden he sees a cat on the side of the road. Running over to it, he begins to pet it, but turns to his mom complaining that it's cold, and with a blank face, his mother tells him that the cat is dead, and then she smiles. Seiichi then wakes up in his room, with his mom at the door, ready to wake him up, to go to school. We learn that Seiichi's life is quite normal. Nothing too out of the ordinary goes on. He goes to school, goofs off with his friends. He even has this crush on a cute girl from class. By the end of the day, he tells his friends that he will go to their favorite restaurant tomorrow to hang out. When he gets back home, he sees his mom standing in the kitchen, in complete darkness. She tells him that his aunt and cousin will be coming over tomorrow, and she asks if he will be there. He initially says that he has something else planned, but after looking at his mom's face, he backsteps and tells her that he can cancel. Later, when they arrive the next day, his aunt seems very loud, drawn in an over-the-top way with her facial expressions which seem very different from the soft art style shown so far. Seiichi and his cousin are hanging out in his room, playing video games, when his cousin brings up that Seiichi's mom seems to be way too overprotective of him, even bringing up how in preschool she wouldn't leave the classroom. Getting visibly upset by this, his cousin backs off. Then it cuts back to when the family is eating dinner together. During the dinner, they talk about going to a family vacation to the mountains, and the cousin forces an invitation back to their house the next day. By the time they leave, the look on the mom's face shifts to being annoyed and tired. But when Seiichi tries to fail and bring up what his cousin talked about earlier, she walks over to him and kisses him on the cheek. This freaks Seiichi out. This is something else that's shown a couple of times throughout the story of this first volume, that Seiko, the mother, is constantly making these small advances at Seiichi that aren't necessarily bad. However, Seiichi immediately has this harsh reaction to it, even though he's portrayed as a mama's boy. Or, this could just be a teen who's embarrassed by his parents' affection, but considering the series we're talking about, I thought I might bring it up. After this, it shows them joining the rest of the family for the hike up into the mountains. It goes relatively smoothly except for the strange disconnect between Seiichi, Seiko, and the rest of the family. At one point in the trip, they stop over a cliffside, and the cousin calls Seiichi over. Then, he pretends to push him. Instantly, Seiko is behind him, clinging Seiichi to her chest. The rest of the family starts to make fun of Seiko, and she just laughs it off. However, later, Seiichi and Shige, the cousin, go off to pee. They end up finding another cliffside. This one looks more extreme, and Shige, standing at the edge of the cliff, starts trying to coax Seiichi over. However, Seiichi refuses, telling Shige that he's just going to push him off again. Shige calls him a baby, and that's when suddenly Seiko appears behind Seiichi. Seiko begins to call out to him to be careful. He starts goofing off, loses balance, and starts to fall. Seiko screams, reaches out to him, and ends up catching him. Didn't I tell you? Auntie? And that's it for the story. The series is truly insane. It is a slow burn, but the payoffs of the things that happen in the series are truly worth reading it. It's such a visceral, psychological horror. Highly recommend anyone who wants to get a little bit deeper into that type of thing to pick this book up. Completely different type of horror to a lot of the other manga that's out there, like Junji Ito or Osamu or Umezu, anything like that. So yeah, highly recommend picking this one up and reading through the series. I have it as one of my favorite horror mangas of all time at 8 out of 10. And finally, the last manga that we're going to be going over, The Summer That Hikaru Died. And good lord, is this series amazing. The series is so fun, it's so good, and the horror is so unique to what it is. I found this series in 2024 at a bookstore, and honestly, almost instantly became one of my most favorite horror series I had ever picked up, and definitely the best horror series I picked up for 2024. It is an absolutely beautiful look into dealing with emotions, growing up, and just all of it wrapped in this tight disguise of Lovecraftian horror. First off, the cover is very, very nice, very, very chic, instantly pulls you in. The bright colors with the very nicely drawn character on the front almost really brings you into question, who is Hikaru, why did he disappear, and why is he on the cover looking like this? And then talking about the art style is very, very good. It definitely has that kind of average type vibe to it. Honestly, it feels very Jujutsu Kaisen, I would say. Feels and looks very Jujutsu Kaisen, especially the main character you can see right here, Hikaru, kind of looks like Gojo a little bit. Once it gets into some of the more horror type elements, then the art starts to get really, really crude, really, really nice and nasty. All the beautiful stuff that comes with horror art. Let's get started into the story of this. This story starts out with Hikaru and Yoshiki at a corner store picking up some ice cream on a hot day. They start talking, and everything seems normal. Yoshiki then brings up when Hikaru disappeared in the mountains for a week, about 6 months ago, and asks if he remembers yet. Hikaru says no, but at this point, it's been so long, there's no point in remembering. Then, out of nowhere, Yoshiki, looking away, tells Hikaru that he's going to ask him a very strange question. You ain't the real Hikaru, are you? How? His face unravels, and his horrifying ghost-type creature, as he desperately clings to Yoshiki. Please don't tell anyone. I might be borrowing this body, but my feelings are real. I don't want to kill you. This thing reveals that Hikaru died while he was in the mountains, and that it took his place, but seems to not really know how to explain what it is, or is just choosing not to. We then cut to what seems to be the next day, with Yoshiki curled up in bed thinking about past memories with Hikaru, and how he's now gone, until the doorbell rings. He opens the door to find Hikaru. He starts telling some story, clearly trying too hard to not make an awkward interaction. Yoshiki instead blows this off, saying he's not around anymore, might as well stick with you. Throughout the rest of that day, he walks around with the new Hikaru, as he tries things for the first time. He still has the same memories of Hikaru, but that's different to actually trying it. They end up passing an old lady on the way back home, who starts to freak out and scream in terror at new Hikaru, obviously making him very upset. After saying their goodbyes, it cuts to the old woman, huddled up right in front of her door, screaming at a voice on the other side to leave her alone, until it appears right behind her, saying, I'm already inside. And unfortunately, that's where I'm going to end off for the summer Hikaru died. Please, 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 if you get nothing out of this video, check out this series. I cannot recommend this series enough. It's so good. It's not just horror, which I think is the biggest thing that really gets me on why it's so good. Now, I know there's a Netflix series going on with it right now. I haven't seen the anime yet, but from what I've read of the series, because I haven't finished it, from what I have read, I have loved every single part of it. Also, I thought I'd get a little bit more into the background of the series, just because while I was researching, a lot of other stuff came up that I thought was just kind of interesting. The author, Mokumokuren, started thinking of the story while in her high school entrance exams, and was posting concepts on Twitter when she was approached by the idea of the manga. And although widely considered a BL title, because of the two main characters and how they interact with each other, and even later on, clearly love each other, the author still prefers to title it a coming-of-age horror that just has some queer themes inside it, since the gay aspect of the relationship is kind of paramount to the horror that resides within the story. Just honestly a great and fun new introduction into the ever-growing series of horror within the manga industry. Yeah, I give it a 8 out of 10. And then of course, some last-minute honorable mentions. We've got Junji Ito. This is actually my Indonesian volume of Uzumaki, but I've got right back here, I got everything. I'm pretty sure I have every current translation for all of the Junji Ito manga out right now, except Hyununmu. Hopefully I can get that at some point, but obviously, father of horror manga right here. Fantastic horror. I would say for Halloween, maybe go something light, maybe pick up one of his horror anthology series. But if you really want to get into it, Uzumaki, Tomoe, some of his longer form stuff, also really, really good. On the same line of thought, you have Kazuhamezu with, I have Orochi, and I also have all of the Dissolving Classroom. Both of these also very, very good. Orochi is more of an anthology series following this main character who kind of just runs around Japan and interacts with these kind of like strange things that are happening and going on. Very, very good, very, very interesting. Also highly recommend picking this up. And then obviously Dissolving Classroom. If you like Junji Ito, pick this one up. Kazuhamezu was one of Junji Ito's greatest inspirations and he labels Dissolving Classroom as one of his favorite series from Kazuma Mezu. Very good, very long, kind of weird, but it grows on you. The art's definitely older, you can tell that when you get into it, but you can also tell the clear inspiration that Junji Ito got from this series. And, you know, other than that, I got a couple more horror series on there, like EB2 and PTSD Radio, but a lot of this stuff I'd probably want to make a video on it by itself, but I didn't really want to put it in here, especially since this is more for, like, people starting out or wanting to get into a very easy manga to get into, not something super in-depth like these hardcore horror stuff right here. And that's it. Those are my 4 manga recommendations for this upcoming Halloween. I try to focus on different genres, obviously, give a wider reach to people. Also, all of this stuff, like I said before, is for my own personal library back here. Hopefully, sometime I'll make a video about this stuff so you guys can see what I have, look at all this stuff. It's always growing. I've been growing this for about 4 or 5 years now, so hopefully it'll grow a lot more. I can make more videos and stuff like this. But yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. New channel, new content. I really want to see how far I can go with this, and I'm very passionate about this. This is my greatest hobby, manga, anime, stuff like that. So if you like it, please consider subscribing. We'll go over more anime reviews, Japan content, video games, stuff like that. If you have any advice for me as a new creator, please leave it down in the comments below. I'm still trying to figure a lot of this stuff out. Right now I have a Logicam for my video camera and a lapel mic for a microphone running off my crappy little laptop. So if you want to see someone go into something that you haven't seen anywhere else, leave it down below too. I'll look at it, think about it. Honestly, this is kind of just a fun hobby project for me. Besides that, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I can see you in the next time I upload a video. Johnny. No, I'm not doing the anime thing. See you guys later.